Hello students, this is the second part of simple equation. But before going in detail with this part, let me recall you some concepts about equation that you have learned in the previous part. So in the previous part we have studied that an equation is obtained by joining two expressions with the help of equality sign. And due to that there are two parts on an equation. The left part which is on the left of the equality sign is known as LHS, while the part on the right of the equality sign is known as RHS. One more important thing that we have learned about equation is that when we interchange the LHS and RHS in a given equation, then again the equation remains valid, that is there is no effect on the equation. Now in this part first we will study that does there any effect on equation if we add, subtract, multiply or divide the same thing on both sides of a equation, and after that we will solve exercise 4.2. So let us understand this. So the equality holds for an equation if both the LHS and RHS of the equation has the same value. It means that let us consider we have an equation 9 minus 3 is equals to 5 plus 1. So here you can see that 9 minus 3 is the LHS while 5 plus 1 is the RHS. If you calculate the value of 9 minus 3 then you get 6, and if you calculate the value of 5 plus 1 then you also get 6. It means both the LHS and RHS have the same value, so we can say that the equation holds, the equality holds for this equation. Now our first point is that the equality holds for an equation if we add same number to both sides of the equation. Let us understand this concept with the help of the equation that we have taken here. So our equation is 9 minus 3 is equals to 5 plus 1. So if we add same number on both sides of this equation, then it means the equality holds for that equation. So let us add 3 on both sides. So if we add 3 on both sides of this equation, then what we get? 9 minus 3 plus 3 is equals to 5 plus 1 plus 3. So it comes out to be 9 minus 3 and plus 3 is equals to 5 plus 1, 6 plus 3. So here you can see that 9 minus 3 is 6 and 6 plus 3 is 9, and here also 6 plus 3 is 9. So the value of LHS and RHS are same. It means when we add same number to both sides of an equation, then equality holds for that equation. Now let us try to understand the second concept. It is stated that the equality holds for an equation if we subtract same number from both sides. So let us take the same equation again. So we have the equation 9 minus 3 is equals to 5 plus 1. Now we subtract 2 from both sides. Let us see what happens. So 9 minus 3 and minus 2 is equals to 5 plus 1 minus 2. Now 9 minus 3 is 6, 6 minus 2 is equals to 5 plus 1 is 6, 6 minus 2. So here you can see that 6 minus 2 is 4, and here also 6 minus 2 is 4. Again you can see the value of LHS and RHS are same. So we can say that when we subtract same number from both sides of an equation, then again the equality holds for that equation. Next is the equality of an equation holds if we multiply or divide both sides of equality by the same non-zero number. So let us try to understand this concept with the help of the same example that we have taken. So we have the equation 9 minus 3 is equals to 5 plus. Okay. Now we multiply the both side of this equation by a same number. So multiply both sides by 4. Let us see what happens. So here we can write 9 minus 3 into 4 equals to 5 plus 1 into 4. So you know that 9 minus 3 is 6. So we have 6 into 4 equals to 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 into 4. So it implies that 6 into 4 is 24 is equals to 6 into 4, 24. So again you can see that when we multiply both sides of this equation by the same non-zero number, then we obtain that the value of LHS and RHS are same. That's why we can say that the equality of an equation holds if we multiply both sides of the equality by same non-zero number. Now we divide both sides of equation by same number and see does the equality hold or not. So we have the equation 9 minus 3 is equals to 5 plus 1. Let us divide both sides of this equation by 2. So divide both sides by 2. Then we can write 9 minus 3 divided by 2 is equals to 5 plus 1 divided by 2. Now it implies that 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is equals to 5 plus 1, 6 divided by 2. So you know that 6 divided by 2 is 3 and 6 divided by 2 is again 3. So again you can see that when we divide both sides of this equation by the same non-zero number 2, then we obtain that the value of LHS and RHS is same. That's why we can say that the equality of an equation holds if we divide both sides of equality by same non-zero number. So students, you have learned that the equality of an equation hold if we either add, subtract, multiply or divide both sides of the equality by the same non-zero number. Now students, we will solve exercise 4.2 which is based on these concepts. So our first question is, give the step first you will use to separate the variable and then solve the equation. So we have the following parts. In this part you can see that here x is variable and in these two parts y is variable. So we have to give the step that we follow in order to separate the variable x and y from these parts. So let us see the solution. So students, in this part you can see that x minus 1 equals to 0. X is variable. So we have to follow such a step such that we have only x, that is variable, on the LHS and nothing else. So in order to obtain x on the LHS, what we do? We add 1 on both sides of this equation. So we have given x minus 1 equals to 0. So add 1 to both sides of equation. So what we get? X minus 1 plus 1 is equals to 0 plus 1, which implies that x minus 1 plus 1. So you know minus 1 plus 1 is equals to 0. So here we get x is equals to 0 plus 1, 1. Now you can see that we have reduced this equation such that we have only the variable x on the left hand side. So the step that we have followed is add 1 to both sides of the equation. Let us see the solution of the second part. In this part you can see that we have given y minus 4 is equals to minus 7. Now students, you know that if we add 4 to both sides of this equation, then in the left hand side or LHS we have only y, that is the variable. So our step is to add 4 on both sides of equation. So let us see. So we can write y minus 4 plus 4, and here we have minus 7 plus 4. So it implies that y minus 4 plus 4 is minus 4 and plus 4 cancel out. So we have only y, and here we have minus 7 plus 4 is minus 3. Now you can see that we have reduced the given equation y minus 4 equals to minus 7 such that we have only the variable y on the left hand side. So our step is that add 4 on both sides of the equation. In the same way, we will try to solve the next part. So in this part we have given y plus 4 is equals to minus 4. Now students, in order to obtain only the variable y on the left hand side, we have to subtract 4, because here in the left hand side we have to eliminate this 4. So in order to eliminate this 4, we have to subtract 4 from both sides. So our step is subtract 4 from both sides. So what we can write, y plus 4 minus 4 is equals to minus 4 minus 4. So it implies that y plus 4 minus 4 is equals to y, and here we have minus 4 is minus 8. Now you can see that we have reduced the equation y plus 4 equals to minus 4 such that we have only the variable y on the left hand side. So our step is that subtract 4 from both sides. Let us see the second question. Here we have. So here you can see that we have given, give the steps you will use to separate the variable and then solve the equation. So first we have to give the steps that we follow in order to find the solution, and after that we have to solve that equation. So let us see the solution of each of these part one by one. So here we have given 3n minus 2 is equals to 46. Now it is clear from this equation that n is variable. So we have to separate n on the left hand side. So our first step is that add 2 on both sides. So let us see what happens when we add 2 on both sides of this equation. So we can write 3n minus 2 plus 2 is equals to 46 plus 2. So it implies that 3n and minus 2 plus 2 becomes 0. So here we have only 3n, and on the right hand side we have 46 plus 2, that is 48. But again you can see that on the left hand side we have 3n, but we have to obtain only n. So let us divide. Next step is divide both sides by 3. Then what we get? 3n by 3 is equals to 48 by 3. It implies that here 3 and 3 is cancelled out. So we have n is equals to, and 3 16 times 48. So we get n is equals to 16. So the steps that we have follow is first add 2 on both sides of the equation, and the second step is, here we can also write, this is step 1 and this is step 2, and the solution is that n is equals to 16. Let us solve the next part in the same way. So here you can see that we have given 3p by 10 is equals to 6, and here p is variable. So first step 1 is that multiply both sides by 10. So what we get? 3p by 10 into 10 is equals to 6 into 10. Now here you can see 10 and 10 is cancelled out. So what we have, 3p is equals to 6 into 10, that is 60. But again you can see that on the left hand side we have 3p, not p. So in order to obtain p only on the left hand side, we have to divide again this equation by 3. So divide both sides by 3. Then what we get? 3p by 3 is equals to 60 by 3. It implies that here 3p by 3, so 3 and 3 is cancelled out, so we have p only, and 60 by 3 is 20. So this is the step 2. So what are the steps that we have followed? First step is multiply both sides by 10, and the second step is divide both sides by 3. And we have the solution that p is equals to 20. The next question from the exercise 4.2 is solve the following equations. So we have the following parts. So let us solve each of these parts one by one. Solution. Here we have given 10p plus 10 equals to 100. So step 1. Step 1 is that subtract 10 from both sides. Subtract 10 from both sides. So let us do. So 10p plus 10 minus 10 is equals to 100 minus 10. So it implies that 10p plus 10 minus 10 comes out to be 10p, and here we have 100 minus 10, that is 90. But again you can see that we have 10p instead of p on the left hand side. So we have to again divide both sides of this equation, that is 10p equals to 90 by 10 in order to obtain p only on the left hand side. So step 2 is that divide both sides by 10. So what we get? 10p by 10 is equals to 90 by 10. So 10p by 10, 10 and 10 cancel out, so we have p, and 90 by 10, 9. So these are the steps that we have followed, and this is our solution. Let us solve the next part in the same way. So here we have given 3p by 4 is equals to 6. Step 1. Multiply both sides by 4. So what we get? 3p by 4 into 4 is equals to 6 into 4. It implies that 4 and 4 is cancelled out, and we have 3p is equals to 6 into 4 is 24. But again you can see that here we have 3p on the left hand side instead of p. So what we do? So step 2 is that we have to divide both part of this equation by 3. So divide both sides by 3. So what we can write? 3p by 3 is equals to 24 by 3. So here 3 and 3 is cancelled out, so we have p only, but on the right hand side we have 24 by 3, that is 8. So these are the steps that multiply both sides by 4 and divide both sides by 3, and we have the solution p is equals to 8. In the same way, let us try to solve the next two parts. Here we have. So in the next part we have given 3x plus 12 equals to 0. So what is our step 1? In step 1, we have to subtract 12 from both sides. Subtract 12 from both sides. So what we have? 3x plus 12 minus 12 equals to 0 minus 12. So we can write 3x plus 12 minus 12 comes out to be 3x. And here we have 0 minus 12 is minus 12. But again you can see that on the left hand side we have 3x instead of x. So what is our step 2? In step 2, we divide both sides by 3. So what we can write? 3x by 3 is equals to minus 12 by 3. So it implies that here 3 and 3 is cancelled out. So what we have? Only x. But on the right hand side we have minus 12 by 3, that is minus 4. So we have followed the steps subtract 12 from both sides, step 1. And in step 2, we have divided both sides by 3. And here we have the solution x is equals to minus 4. Now our last part is we have given 2q plus 6 equals to 12. So what is our step 1? In step 1, subtract 6 from both sides. So what we obtain? 2q plus 6 minus 6 is equals to 12 minus 6. So here we have 2q plus 6 minus 6 comes out to be 2q, and on the right hand side 12 minus 6 is 6. But again you can see that on the left hand side we have 2q instead of q. So what is our step 2? In step 2 we have to divide both sides by 2. So what we get? 2q divided by 2 is equals to 6 divided by 2. So here 2 and 2 is cancelled out. So what we have? Only q, and on the right hand side 6 divided by q. So we get 3. So the steps that we have followed is, first step, subtract 6 from both sides, and the step 2 is divide both sides by 2. And we have the solution q is equals to 3. So students, these are the following parts that we have solved. Now rest of the parts you have to solve by yourself. Thank you.